Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. And then I post it over onto Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up on that. Click on that. Hi guys. And it will have all of the therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Hokey dokey smoky. Before we dive into today's topic, I want to make sure to get a bunch of announcements out. March 23rd, I will be in New Orleans. There are still some tickets left. So if you are interested in seeing me in New Orleans, March 23rd, go to Eventbrite, Mercury, Eventbrite, or Eventbrite Mercury, and it will have the tickets there. You can get them there. July 4th, I'll be speaking at the Mensa Convention. July 6th, Santa Barbara. St. Paul is on July 13th, and then I keep going out from there. They should all be up on Eventbrite. So the cruise. So people have been asking me about the cruise. Tell me more about the cruise. All right. So what is going on with the cruise is going to be a great deal for you guys because you get me for the whole 4 days, basically, because I'm just going to be hanging out with y'all. But basically what's going to happen is that Friday night, we're going to board and then we're going to have like a little reception. We're going to have iced tea and we're going to have some cheese and fruit and that kind of thing. And I'm going to hand out a goodie bag. It's going to have journals in it and all that sort of fun stuff. And then we go to Nassau on Saturday and hang out on the beach. That's all I'm going to be doing. Lots of sunblock. And then Sunday, I'm going to be doing 2 sessions. So there's going to be a morning session from 10 to noon and then another one, I think, from 2 to 4. And we're going to be doing all sorts of things like talking about our abuse, like getting used to talking about kind of like, how we do in AA where it's like, hi, my name is Chris and I'm an alcoholic, kind of like that, but not really. It's going to be more like, what was your experience? Because the thing that is the most healing to survivors of abuse is knowing that you were not alone. You are not alone. There have been thousands, hundreds of thousands of us who have gone through the exact same. So do you see where I'm going with that? So that's why that's really important. So we're going to be doing like guided imagery. We're going to be doing talking. We're going to be doing journaling. We're going to be working through stuff. We're going to be answering questions. We're going to be asking questions. It's going to be fabulous. And you'll have me for a whole 4 days. So that'll be awesome. So anyway, go check that out. That is also on Eventbrite. It is well worth your time. And I'm going to make it worth your time and your money because I'm a big believer in, doing my damnedest. So anyway, there is that. So yes, I will be in Anaheim on August 3rd. That too should be up on Eventbrite. So for any and all Eventbrite things, just go to Eventbrite, any and all things, personal appearances that I'm doing, go check it out on Eventbrite. There's a whole list of them, but the next one's coming up will be March 23rd in New Orleans. That should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. That will be held at Propeller. So the address and everything is on Eventbrite. And then the next one will be the Mensa Convention. And then after that, Santa Barbara and then St. Paul. So there is that. Okay. Also the books that I have written and published are for sale on Amazon. They are both on hard copy. Well, not hard copy. They're soft copy, like, paperbacks, but they are also available on Audible. And I do the narration myself because that's the way I roll. So What's Wrong with Your Dad is about growing up. This is my personal story about growing up with a father that was definitely disordered and had an addiction. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him cha-cha is why some people stay in abuse and some others don't. And what to look for in, for abusers. What do they do? What's their MO, basically? So there is that. Also, I wanted to let you know, Susanna Quintana, oh my God, her book freaking rocks. So her book, oh geez Louise, what is the name of her book? It's You Can Be the Girl that You Were. Susanna Quintana, go look it up. I just finished reading it and I did a review for her and it was amazing. And every abuse survivor needs to read that book. It is a book of inspiration. It is a book of hope. It is a book of how to get back to you, the real you, not the you that your abuser told you that you were, but the real you. So it's a great book, SusannaQuintana.com. Go check her out. She's amazing. It'll be available to the public on the 14th. So that's this Thursday. So anyway, Susanna, I love you. All right. There is that. All right. So let's get rocking and rolling with today's topic. So anxiety, social anxiety, generalized anxiety. Why is it that when we come out of an abusive relationship, we are a wreck? Well, we know, but I think I just need to review this. So basically, when we come out of an abusive relationship, our abuser has filled our head with such that we don't know the truth anymore about who we are. They have told us who we are, and they have lied to us. And it's like that cognitive dissonance. So let's do a little bit of review here. Cognitive dissonance is where we have a set of beliefs or, things that we think are true. The abuser has come in and said, no, 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 that's not the truth. This is the truth. Then we adopt their belief system. And then reality comes in and says, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you isolating? Why are you lying? Why are you cheating? Why are you acting like the abuser? And then the target of abuse gets all confused because they've got cognitive dissonance going on, because this person who reminds them of their original wound is telling them that they have to believe this way, not what reality is. So it causes a great deal of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the fog, the fear, the obligation, the guilt, that fuzzy feeling where it's like, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's not real. I believe my abuser, but everybody's telling me not to believe my abuser, and I want to believe my abuser, and I'm really confused. So that creates a lot of anxiety in the mind of the target, because the target does not any longer know what reality is, because the abuser has constantly fed them what reality is. And of course, now that they're out of the abusive relationship, they're recognizing, holy crap, everything that this person told me was a load of lies. What the fuck, And so it's a lot of anxiety, and it's a lot of, who do I trust? How do I trust? And it's a lot of also, when we're in one of those abusive relationships, they nitpick. Well, you don't look good. Well, you're too fat. You're too thin. You're too tall. You're too short. You're too blonde. You're too brunette. I could do a fucking rap out of this. Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're too much, not enough. It's the two circles. Too much, not enough. That is what abusers live in. And the target of abuse constantly tries to fit into the right enough part, but they don't overlap. There's no little area where you're ever going to be enough. So what they do is, oh, well, you're too sensitive. You're too emotional. You're too this. You're too that. Or you're not enough this, not enough that, not enough blah, 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 blah. And so the target of abuse is constantly trying to twist themselves into a pretzel to fit that. So the judging, it just wears you down like Chinese water torture. Drip, 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 and it gets to you. And so when we come out of one of those abusive relationships, we don't trust our gut. We don't trust who we are, and we don't trust that we are enough. And we are enough. We are. And yet our abuser and possibly our caregivers, the original wound, have set us up to believe that we're not enough, that we're not good enough. Not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. So when people come in and they talk to me about anxiety and depression, it's because there is this voice, usually of their abuser, either of their abusive caregiver or their abusive romantic partner or their abusive boss or their abusive friend or whatever, sitting there nagging in their ear going, well, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're too much. You're not enough. You're too much. You're not enough. You're not good enough. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Thank you for your input. Shut the fuck up. So do you see where I'm going with that? So it's the negative stuff that we've gotten from the abuser. So if the abuser didn't love us, that little kid inside of us, remember this all goes back to the inner child. That little kid inside of us says, oh my gosh, they didn't love me. My original caregivers didn't love me. I'm not good enough. So if I go out into public, I'm going to be judged all the time. Take a deep breath. No, you're not. No, you are not. I hate to break it to you, but healthy, normal people don't do a whole hell of a lot of judging, mainly because they are too busy living their own best lives. You don't have time to judge. When you're out living your life, you're not judging. You're just living. You're just there, So we think that because we were under such a microscope, and we were, with the abusers, whether it is a family or a friend or a boss or a lover or whatever, that we will be under the microscope when we go out into the real world. Let me just clue you into something. You're not going to be under the microscope. You're not. And if there are people that walk up to you and go, oh, well, I don't like what you're wearing, and I don't like your earrings, and I don't like your makeup, and I don't like that, you can just tell them to fuck off and get out of your life. This is where you clean out your closet. This is where you get rid of the toxic people in your life. You don't need them there. So, Do people judge on a daily basis? Yes. It's kind of like you do kind of survey your surroundings and go, do I want to walk down this dark alley or not? But in general, it is not going to be personalized, and it is not going to be an intense microscopic, I'm going to get you, I'm going to tell you you're not enough, I'm going to remind you that, I know better than you and you don't know how to dress and this, that, and the other thing, and you're stupid and blah, 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 blah. So, and this is the thing that people don't understand. Domestic violence is not just physical abuse. The worst part of it is the verbal, because it gets into your head like a goddamn virus gets into a computer, and it messes with the hard drive. Do you see where I'm going with that? And it will sit there and it will replay these messages over and over and over again as if they were real. And remember our amygdala, remember the amygdala? Let's do a little review. The amygdala is our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn center. It sits about an inch inside of each ear. This little guy's stupid. Like really, God love him. Just bless his little heart. Stupid. Cannot tell the difference between a real threat, a thought about a real threat, daydreaming about a threat, an emotional threat, a thought about an emotional threat, or some shit that's happened in the past. It's all the same. And for the amygdala, it's here now, here now, here now, here now. This is happening here. This is happening now. This is happening here. This is happening now. No, it isn't. It is not happening here and now, but the amygdala doesn't know that. And so it sends the distress signal to the hippocampus and the hypothalamus to release the cortisol, which is our stress hormone. We start tensing up, okay? Because we're getting ready to either do battle, fight, run away, flight, freeze, like a bunny rabbit, which again, I've never understood how that's helpful because he who hesitates is lost, or fawn, give into the abuser, appease the abuser so that we don't get killed, okay? So anxiety is really connected to the amygdala, and it's connected to the physiological response we have to a threat. So if you're going to master anxiety, you must master your physiological response, which means you must also master your mind. The mind is an amazing piece of equipment. It really is. We can talk ourselves into or out of a panic attack. We can. And so when people sit here and try to argue with me, emotions, they're not a choice. Bullshit, motherfucker, they are. We choose. We choose. And they are not a choice if you are allowing them to run you. You run your emotions. Your emotions do not run you unless you hand the reins over to them, and in which case they'll be only too happy to create chaos. Don't allow it. So it takes practice. It literally, it's like kung fu. It's like martial arts. It takes discipline. It takes practice. It takes daily meditation. It takes daily mirror work, working on you, giving yourself permission to be able to recognize and observe your emotions. Somebody asked me the other day, what is the difference between gray rock and observe, don't absorb? Very little. It's pretty much the same concept. With gray rock and with observe, don't absorb, you're not taking any of their bullshit personally. What you're doing is you're listening and you're going, does this sound real? Does this not sound real? They appear to be an abuser. Guess what? I'm not giving them any sort of emotional response. Interesting. Yeah, look at the time, gotta go. That is gray rock. That is also observe, don't absorb, because you're not absorbing what they say. But when we're in the middle of abuse, when we have just left abuse, we are so hypersensitive to criticism, to judgment, to harm, because that's what we've been dealing with this whole time. There's a reason why, where is my DSM? There is a reason why in the DSM, when we talk about CPTSD or PTSD, one of the criteria is hypervigilance. Yeah, we're going to be on red alert. Seriously, we're going to be at DEFCON, what is the worst one? DEFCON 1? And not DEFCON 5. We're going to be at DEFCON 1 because we've been in the battle for, days, weeks, months, years. So yes, we are going to be hypervigilant. We're going to have a really, really, really hard time socializing, trusting. Did I just do something the other way around? Chris, what did I say the other way around? Tell me, because I can't remember what I said. So DEFCON. Oh, DEFCON. Okay, so DEFCON 5 is the worst. DEFCON 1 is not much. Okay, sorry, I'm not a military person. So anyway, the point being is that you're going to be at the highest alert. and not the lowest alert, because you've been in battle for the last days, weeks, months, years with an abuser who's constantly making you wrong and telling you you're bad and telling you you're not good enough and too much this and not enough that and blah, 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 blah bullshit. Do you see where I'm going with that? So hypervigilance is definitely a part of recovery. So, and I think this is where people get all kind of, verklempt here, is because they think that, they come out of the abusive relationship and now everything is going to be sunshine and roses. Well, it's going to be a lot better for sure, but it's not going to be, perfect. There is no perfect, but you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have hypervigilance. So hypervigilance is where we are terrified to go out because all we can hear is the judgments of either our original wound or that friend, boss, lover, parent, whatever in our head that makes it fearful for us to go out and socialize. So let's talk about fear. Fear is just a thought, guys. It's just a thought. This little guy can't tell the difference, okay? So if we imagine or we think, oh my God, going out is going to be horrible. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. Oh my God, that this little guy is going to go, okay, kids, we need the cortisol right the hell now. Okay, adrenal gland, I need the adrenaline right the hell now. And it's going to act as if we are either going into battle, running away from battle, freezing in battle, or giving in to whoever's trying to kill us. So this little guy can't tell the difference. It's all about mastering the thoughts. How we think it is how it's going to turn out. Let me just say that again. How we think it is exactly how it's going to turn out, because once we tell the amygdala we're in danger, it runs with it, okay? And it starts the whole cascading series of events. When the cascading series of events happens, so let me walk you through it again. This thing gets a threat. These two things get the distress signal from the amygdala. Hippocampus, hypothalamus tell the body to release cortisol. Cortisol gets released. We get tensed up because we're getting ready to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Now we're not breathing. No oxygen. Bad idea, because now racing thoughts, heart pounding out of the chest. Oh my God, I'm going to die. Holy shit, I got to get out of here. What the fuck? And then it tells the adrenal gland that sits on top of the kidneys to release all of the adrenaline at once. Yay. Now we've got all of this energy because our body's getting ready to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? It needs the energy to get out of that situation to become safe. So now we're sitting there shaking like a leaf, racing thoughts, heart pounding out of our chest. And that's a panic attack. People either go into a full-blown panic attack at that point, or they go into a rage attack like the Incredible Hulk. I used to do the rage attack. So, although I do panic attack every once in a while. So that's what's going on. So breathing, you got to breathe. You got to know what's happening. You got to understand, oh, this is a panic attack. Okay, I need oxygen. Not teeny tiny little puffy breaths going, no, you want deep, slow breaths. You hold at the top and then you let out as slowly as you possibly can. And where did this panic attack start? Started with a thought. A thought. That's it. Danger is real, for sure. You don't want to put your hand on a hot stove, but danger and thoughts, here's the thought. I'm thinking about putting my hand on a hot stove. Now, if that's a threat enough to the amygdala, it's going to go into DEFCON 5, I think. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's a thought. It's a thought. It's a thought. So it's a thought. So all thoughts are processed by the amygdala. I'm really simplifying this. So if there's any brain people out there, please forgive me. I am simplifying this down so everybody understands it, because it's a lot more complicated than that. But basically, a threat comes in, the amygdala recognizes it, and it says, oh my gosh, this reminds me of the past. This reminds you of something that happened to me. Oh my God, this is dangerous. Holy shit, we need help. And it starts the whole cascading series of events. So how we think things is really going to affect how we deal with it, if that makes any sort of sense. So, and it should. So in other words, what I think is hysterically funny is I will tell my clients, it's like, look, you must. Okay, you don't have to, but it would be really useful for you to master your thoughts, because you keep telling yourself going to this job interview is going to be horrible. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. And then you blow the job interview. Gee, I wonder why. So let's walk through the job interview. Show me what's happening. And inevitably, it's because they've told themselves that everything is going to be horrible, awful, terrible, nasty, vicious. They're going to judge me. It's going to be, they freeze. They freeze or they overtalk. That's another thing that people do, is they talk too much because they're nervous and they can't stand the silence. So in social anxiety, there's so much going on. Geez Louise, I need more time than an hour. But I'm not going to go over an hour today. But anyway, in social anxiety, people have their basic personality. Okay. There are extroverts and there are introverts. Introverts really have a hard time socializing. It's draining to them. You could basically substitute introvert with empath, which is not to say that extroverts are not empathic as well, but introverts seem to be really, really sensitive to having to be around a great deal of people. I love the memes that say, how an introvert has a party and it says, please leave by 9, in like big, like party banner kind of thing, and the food's all out and everything. So it really is dependent upon your personality. I'm pretty much fearless, and I pretty much always have been. I don't mind meeting new people. I don't mind making a fool of myself. I don't mind being silly. I don't mind what other people think because I can't control them. Okay. So with introverts, though, it's almost painful to be in large crowds. It's almost painful to go out and socialize and things like that. So you have to kind of honor what your basic personality is. I don't want you to isolate, but I do want you to be very cognizant and aware, okay, I've had enough socializing. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to go back and home. And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. Not everybody is a people person. They're not. I personally love to meet new people. I love to talk to them. I love to hear what's going on. That's why I do what I do. But not everybody is that way, and that's okay. That's okay. But if it gets to the point where you are unable to go socialize, like the thought of socializing is just paralyzing to you, or you're unable to do a job interview, okay? Things that are harming you, then we've got to start working on why. What are the thoughts? What are the thoughts? What is your brain telling you? What disaster report is it giving? So what we tend to do, having either been raised by abusers or been in a romantic relationship or a boss relationship or a friendship with an abuser, is we start doing what little kids do. So little kids fill in the blanks to try to stay safe. They do. So we start filling in the blanks. So what we do is we do a disaster report. And usually the disaster report is like, who is that? Who is the maker of all those disaster movies? Irwin Allen, earthquake, disaster, the worst possible scenario, bad, 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 bad. That's what we tend to do. And we tend to go to that DEFCON 5, bad, 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 bad. And it's going to be horrible. It's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. Well, when this little guy hears that, it goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it freaks the fuck out, which, it should. And then it paralyzes us. So analysis paralysis. Let's talk about that. So much having to do with anxiety. Again, thoughts. So we tend to be overthinkers. Because when we were in that abusive relationship or this abusive relationship, it literally was like a game of chess. I don't know about you guys, but being raised by my dad, I literally had to stay 3 steps ahead of everybody in the family. I did, in order to stay safe. If I could predict what was going to happen, I could avoid it, and I could stay safe, and I could say what needed to be said so that I could get the fuck out of there and get to my room and lock the door. So we end up being hypervigilant, and we end up doing the disaster report. Well, what's the worst that can happen? And we inevitably go for the absolute worst that could possibly happen. And of course, like I said, it was good. It served us to a certain extent earlier, but now that we're out and we're away from the abusers and we're starting to heal, it's hindering us. So overthinking creates analysis paralysis. In other words, we get stuck in what if. So how do you stop all that? First of all, get with a good therapist. Seriously. I mean, I can help you a little bit here, on the internet, but you really need to get with a good therapist to get to the root of it. Where did this all start? Who taught you to do the what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, what ifs? Who taught you it wasn't safe? Who taught you that the world was not a safe place to be? Now, is the world dangerous? Yeah, it can be. Absolutely. I mean, cautious optimism. You want to live aware and awake, but you don't want to get to the point where you're locking the doors and putting on a tin hat. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's really important to start working on what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? This is why journaling helps so much, because if we can identify where the thought is coming from, why we're having that thought, where we learned that thought, and is this thought real or not? And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be real. It's not. It's just a thought. Fear, okay, generates these thoughts. So fear, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. False evidence appearing real. It's not real. I am deathly afraid of spiders. I am. Hopefully that will not be my death, but there's my fear, because I live in Arizona and we have scorpions, little bastards. I'm definitely afraid of spiders, but you know what? There's thousands of hundreds of millions of spiders, and really, when you think about it, we are outnumbered by spiders. So if I let that thought rule me, I'd never leave my house and I'd have a can of Raid with me all the time. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I refuse to be held hostage by an irrational fear. Okay. Now, if you have a stalker, that's a real fear, but then you work around it. You do not allow the fear of the stalker to keep you hostage, because that's what they want. And essentially, if you think about it, our original abuser, the original wound, all of the fear that's keeping us from living our life, that's what they want. Don't let them win. Don't let them win. Let that be your motivation to move past the thoughts. So with the thoughts, it's just recognizing it's a thought. It is a thought, okay? It's nothing more than a thought. Now, action, dangerous actions, yes, those are real, okay? But a fear thinking about a dangerous action is not real. It's a thought. So you have to master your thoughts. You have to master your response to your thoughts. And you have to be able to make those judgments in the moment. Is this real or is this my thought? Okay, it's a thought. I can let it go. But it's hard to do, guys. It's not easy. And I'm not going to lie to you. And any therapist who goes, oh, it's easy, throat punch them. No, don't throat punch them. But you know what I'm saying. It's like, no, it's not easy. It takes time to master thoughts. It does, because we've been letting the thoughts run rampant over us for years. So it's really important to start mastering your thoughts. What are you thinking? How are you feeling in response to what you are thinking? Mindfulness. What are you thinking? What are you feeling, and why? What's going on? So social anxiety is born of either nature, nurture. Okay. Again, my personality, I was always very gregarious, outward going, meeting people. I would run into strangers and hug their legs. It's just who I am. So when I was little, I don't do that now, unless you're Gerard Butler. Anyway, the point being, though, is that, other people, like my buddy Anna Smith, she's a total introvert. She does not like socializing. It is very painful for her to go out and socialize, and she can only do it for a short amount of time before she goes, that's it, I'm done. Nice seeing you. I'm going home now. Do you see where I'm going? So it's nature, nurture, and it's a matter of training your thoughts. Training your thoughts, because when people sit there and go, oh, this is going to be horrible. Oh, this is going to be terrible. Oh, this is going to be awful. Well, I'll be damned if our subconscious doesn't make it that way. So when I teach you guys the mirror work and I say, okay, look in the mirror. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. What am I doing? I'm programming my subconscious that I want a good day. Because how many times have we woken up in the morning and said, oh my God, today is going to suck ass. And then it did. Because we told our subconscious it was going to suck ass. So when I do the mirror work and I say, hi, good to see you, have a great day, I give you permission to work on, I don't know, loving yourself, or whatever. And then my subconscious goes, oh my gosh, she wants a good day. Okay, all right, we'll make it a good day. And so even if things go south, I somehow manage to find the silver lining in it, because I've already programmed myself that it was going to be a good day. It takes practice. It takes practice and it takes daily practice. I do this every day. Every single time I look in the mirror, every single time I brush my teeth, every single time I get dressed, I say something nice to myself, or I give myself some positive affirmation that I can work on throughout the day, or I wish myself a happy day, or I wish myself, I give myself permission to work on, I don't know, better physical care or eating healthier, although I'm doing that. But, things like that. It's like you want to continually say nice things to yourself in the mirror. And then at night, when you come home, you give yourself kudos. So let's say that you went out and you socialized and you could stand it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Good job. You socialized. Good job. That's awesome. Go you. You give yourself kudos for this, okay? We don't often say the things that we're doing right. We often say the things that we're doing wrong. We'll lie in bed and we'll sit there and go, oh my God, I forgot to do this and I didn't do this and I didn't do this right and da-da-da-da. Stop it. Stop it. Listen to me now. Believe me later. There are thousands of assholes out there that want to kick your ass. Don't you be fucking one of them. Either fucking them or be one of them. Do you see where I'm going with that? Don't be one of them. Don't. Please stop kicking your own ass. I really want you to start focusing in on what you're doing right. Because when we leave in an abusive relationship, we need to hear that most of all from ourselves. Seriously, because they've done nothing but tell us how we're wrong and we're bad and we're this and we're that and too much and not enough and blah, 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 blah. We need to hear what's right. So please, please, please start doing what is right. Okay. Yes, I am ready to get to some questions. So let's start answering questions here. That would be great. So anyway, okay. Oh, boy, that was fast. How do you deal with an anxiety attack when you're in the middle of a job interview or your boss is giving you crap? Oh, that's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. That is hard. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to really silently breathe. Deep breath, hold it, let it out. Try to keep a neutral face because you don't want them to know what's going on, especially if they are the abuser. Or, and especially if your boss is giving you crap, it's like breathe. Just breathe, keep a neutral face, and then you're in your head, you're going to have to go, I'm safe. He can't do anything. I'm okay. It's all right. A little ventriloquism here. Do you see where I'm going with that? You just got to keep breathing. Keep breathing. Because what we do when we're attacked is our whole body tenses up and we stop breathing. And that is the worst thing because two things. One, you're going to go into a panic attack or a rage attack. You don't want that. Two, you're going to keel over. No keeling over in front of the enemy. Don't do it. It's not safe. So you want to breathe. So you just want to see where I'm going with that? Breathe. You want to breathe. And then if your boss is giving you crap and it's undeserved, document the living crap out of it and see if you need to go to ER. Or ER? HR. You may have to go to ER if you don't breathe. Jeez Louise. HR. Okay. I gladly acknowledge the self-anger I have, but I need to vent emotional pain. Is it normal to feel high anxiety during releasing bottling of emotions and self-anger? Okay, so let me see if I'm understanding. And if I'm not understanding you right, please write again so I make sure that I get this correct. So when we have self-anger, we're mad at ourselves. It's usually taught to us by an abuser. It's usually taught by the original wound. And when we are with abusive, disordered parents, they tend not to forgive and they tend to hold grudges and they tend to continue to beat us up for the things that we did wrong. So self-anger, it's kind of a way to self-abuse. So really, it's like, what are you mad at yourself for? Can you forgive yourself? And when you are letting it out, how are you doing it? Are you doing it in a healthy way that's not hurting you or anybody else? Or are you raging at somebody else? Or are you raging at yourself? Or, so here's the thing. We're going to make mistakes, guys. We're going to make mistakes. Obviously, we're human. And thank God for that, because we're not perfect. If we were perfect, we would not need to be on planet Earth because we would have learned everything we needed to learn and we'd be off in, I don't know, Nirvana, Valhalla. Valhalla always sounded fun. Anyway, it's the Viking in me. So, it's like, what are we doing that, what are you doing to beat yourself up? How are self-anger? That means there's no forgiveness there. There's no forgiveness there. What are you mad at yourself for? Forgive yourself. We can't know what we don't know until we know it. And then once we know it, if we continue the behavior, okay, you can have some disappointment. Okay. But you don't want to be sitting there, beating yourself up. You don't. Trust me, there's plenty of people out there that would love to do that for you. Don't be one of them. So it's really important to journal, get it out, figure out where it came from. Why do you have self-anger? What's going on? Who taught you that? What are you not forgiving in yourself? Because we're going to make mistakes. We are. And then you clean them up as quickly as you possibly can. When you mess up, it's just like AA, man. It's just like AA. We fuck up. We need to make amends. You make amends. You apologize sincerely and you make amends and you move on and you forgive yourself. Okay. But that doesn't mean you keep doing the behavior over and over and over again. If the behavior keeps happening over and over and over again, then you're not really sorry. So does that make sense? So let me know if that's what you're talking about. Okay. Trying to figure out where I am. Sorry. I was in my therapy session when my anxiety flared up. I had just opened up to my counselor trying to deal with years of bottled up feelings. She claims it's self-anger that I'm feeling. Is she right? Okay. I don't know. I would disagree, but I hate to go against another counselor, but I'll tell you what I think. When somebody expresses anxiety in a therapy session, there's a lot of things that could be going on. It could be the fear of opening up. It could be the fear of opening up to a total stranger. And this is what I tell people. It's like therapy is really, again, not for pussy ass bitches, because you sit down and you spill your guts to a total stranger, hoping and praying that they have the right training to do what they need to do to help you. So when we have to express our deepest fears, our deepest thoughts, that's going to cause a lot of anxiety. And it has nothing to do with self-anger. It has to do with fear. So this whole self-anger bullshit. Okay, here's the deal, guys. Anger is not a pure emotion. It is always based in fear. Always. Show me somebody who's raging and angry, and I'll show you somebody who's terrified. So it's fear. It's fear. So anxiety is fear. So I don't know where the self-anger stuff is coming from. That's self-anger is when somebody is like, I'm a terrible person and I hate myself and I did it. Now that's self-anger. That's self-loathing. That's terrible. Don't do that. But anxiety is fear. So trust your gut. If you don't like your therapist, get a new one. And don't be afraid to fire them. If they're not doing it for you, fire them. It's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Some people come in to see me and they're like, oh, you're a little too much. You're a little too blunt. Okay. Here's Honest Smith. She's great. She's a lot calmer than I am. Try her out. I don't take it personally. Any therapist that takes it personally has got problems. So, the anger is all based in fear. Any good therapist knows that. So, it's anxiety is fear. It's not self-anger, it's fear. So what's the fear? Where does the fear come from? That's what you got to figure out. And that once you figure out what the fear is, then you can mitigate it by going, it's a thought. It's not real. What my abuser said about me is not real. I don't have to believe it anymore. So there that is. I hope that answered the question. Is laughing a normal response to narcissistic bullshit induced anxiety? Yes. Yeah. Yes. I used to freeze in fear. Now I just have uncontrollable laughter, which seems to either baffle or anger him. Good for you. That's fabulous. That's what you want. So, laughter is because we see the absurdity of it. I mean, guys, if you could see some of the weird comments that I get, I literally have to sit there and laugh because I'm just like, what are you smoking? It's like, wow, yeah, absolutely. Once you get out of it and you're no longer afraid of them, you tend to laugh at the absurdity of it. What you really want to do is you want to gray rock. You don't want to give them anything because if you're laughing, although if you're laughing, you're letting them know they have no power. So what they may do is they may try to up the game, up the ante, and try to make you afraid of them or make you go back to the cowering or whatever. But if they do, you get a restraining order and you just don't deal with it. So yeah, it can be a normal response to the BS. It's like, yeah, honestly, yeah, absolutely. You want to try to you do want to try to gray rock. You want to be as responsive or non-reactive as possible because you don't want to give them anything. You don't want to give them narcissistic injury. You don't want to give them narcissistic supply. You just want them to go the fuck away. So yeah, it can be. It can. And that's as long as they're not upping the ante and not hurting you, then that's fine. That's fine. It's not a problem. All right. Expecting the worst and being glad it didn't happen always works for me. I learned it from my narc mom. Is this a bad tactic to deal with anxiety? Yes, because then you miss out on the joy. I used to do that too. That's so funny you say that. So my dad was incredibly abusive. He was physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, sexually abusive, every religiously abusive, every single kind of abuse you can think of. And he would always, without fail, ruin any happy gathering we had, any holiday, any good thing would get ruined. And so I very quickly learned to expect the worst, to always think of what could go wrong, what's going to happen, da, 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 da. And then when it turned out okay, it was like, well, that worked while I was in the crazy abusive family dynamic. I left when I was 17 because I was like, y'all bitches are crazy. Peace out. So that worked while I was there. But then when I left there, I realized I'm constantly negative. I'm constantly angry. I'm constantly living in this black fucking cloud that's not mine. And it's like, I even say this in the book. Where'd the book go? Hang on, have a tick. Oh my God, I've got too much stuff on this desk. I even say it in What's Wrong with Your Dad? You know, it's like every time I would have to go home or thought about my home, I always pictured it with this black cloud hanging over it. And I realized that I took that goddamn black cloud with me. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let that fucker control me from the grave. So, nope, no more. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. It's a matter of living in the now. Okay. So when we are raised by narcissists, by abusers, okay, we either live in a future that has not happened yet, right? Because we're like, oh, when I get out of here, it's going to be so awesome. Or we're living in the past. Oh my God, they're going to do this. They're going to do that. I got to prepare myself because they've done this in the past. They've done that in the past. Da, 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 da. We never live in the here and now, and neither do they. The abusers don't live in the here and the now. They are constantly living in their heads, and it's usually not pretty. Oh, by the way, this cup available on eBay. Swing. So hold on. So it keeps us from being happy. It keeps us from being joyful. It keeps us from being cheerful. It keeps us living in a what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if. So I'm just going to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Nope. Stop it. Stop. It's not worth it. It's so much mental energy. And as you practice thought stopping, okay, that's what this is going to be. So when those thoughts pop up and it says, oh my gosh, I have to prepare for the worst. I have to do this. I have to, coulda, shoulda, woulda, mental masturbation. It's a mind fuck. You see where I'm going with that? So it's when that pops up, you have to tell it, thank you for your input. That's a lovely thought. I am no longer doing that. Bye-bye, bye-bye now, bye-bye, bye-bye, and send it off down the Ganges River. Or whatever river you choose. So, even Swedish chef. So expecting the worst is a common thing, and it's a childhood thing. We learn it in childhood. So this is what little kids do to try to stay safe. This is part of the magic thinking. If I just think everything bad's going to happen, and then it turns out okay, I'm going to be so happy. How about we just get rid of the thinking everything bad's going to happen? We just let things be what they are. We live in the here and the now, here and the now, here and the now, and we be happy. It's a new concept. So it's going to take a lot of practice. I strongly suggest getting with a really good therapist and working on self-esteem, because that is a huge part of it. People who love themselves do not torture themselves. So working on self-esteem, working on boundaries, and working on staying in mindfulness, here and now, not in a future that has not and probably will not happen, not in a past that's already dead and gone, okay? The here and the now. And that's really important. And it's hard to do at first. But if you practice, it comes much easier, much, much, much easier. When I first started flying, I hated it because I couldn't be in control, right? But as the years went on, I was like, well, You know what? Buddhist worry chart. Is there a problem? Yes. Can you do something about it? Yes. Then don't worry. Is there a problem? Yes. Can you do something about it? No. Then don't worry. Don't worry. Just don't worry. There's no point. Worrying does not change a goddamn thing. We think it does. Little kid inside of us, little one, little inner child, thinks it does, but it doesn't. All it does is steal the moment's joy. Don't allow yourself to steal the moment's joy. Live in joy. Live in the now. Here now. Here now. All right. How to manage anxiety from never feeling secure or prepared. For example, I have to have 2 of everything, 2 driver's license, 2 insurance cards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is lack and scarcity thinking. Hold on a second. This is very important. Hang on. Okay. Lack and scarcity thinking. When we are raised by narcs or by malignant borderlines or anyone who is abusive, one of the ways that they control is to make sure that nothing ever goes right. And they also make sure that things get left off or things get left out, or there's never enough money, or there's never enough this, or there's never enough food, or there's never enough fill in the blank. So when we grow up with this sense of, God damn it, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to have 2 of everything and everything is going to be where I need it. And it's going to be, and it's a way to try to stay in control because we didn't have control growing up. So it's really important. Again, things are not always going to go right. They're not. They are not. So it's really important. Live in the here and the now. Yeah, things are going to go south. Funky things are going to happen. You know, it's going to happen. So it's really important to just acknowledge this is one of your fears, is being out of control and not having enough, okay? And to let it go. So this is a little bit of obsessive compulsiveness, and it makes sense because we tend to do that when we've lived in not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, not prepared, everything's chaos, oh my God. So yeah, it's great that you're prepared, that's wonderful, but then let it go. Let it go. You know, it's kind of like when I pack for trips, it's always at the last minute and I'm throwing things in the thing. And I just finally get to the point where I'm like, you know what? If I don't fucking have it, I'll fucking buy it. You know, it's like, let it go. Woohoo! Airplane, here I come. You know, so it's really important to let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go and stop living in the lack and scarcity. Really journal about that. Where did that come from? Who taught you lack and scarcity? Where did that come from? That's really what you want to be doing. And it's normal. It's normal coming from an abusive family. Absolutely. For me, it was food. I hoard food like in toilet paper. And I still do. I have tons of toilet paper in the house. But it's like, why? Well, because my dad was crazy and he always played this game of, well, you just ate. Why are you hungry? Because I'm growing and I'm 7, you know? I mean, it's like, so yeah, they raise us with this lack and scarcity kind of thing. So yeah, figure out where it came from, work on it, work on letting it go. Don't steal the joy from the current moment. If you know you're prepared, okay, you've got it. If shit goes sideways, it goes sideways. Guess what? The world keeps spinning. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Stuff does not always go according to plan. It doesn't. So like, okay, for example, I turned in my passport, right? And I get a letter back, you know, getting the new passport and passport card and everything. I get a letter back saying, well, we took your money and we cashed it, but we don't have your passport. So we're holding on to your passport and we're not going to give you your proof of citizenship. And I'm like, wait a minute. How can you simultaneously have and not have my passport? And, you know, for a moment, there was that momentary, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to buy my tickets. And then I went, stop it. So then I contacted my senator, Kristen Sinema, and I said, how can they simultaneously have and not have my passport? And I sent it to them via the mail. So it's clearly in their mailroom, you know? And so lo and behold, like literally as soon as I contacted her, like a few days later, I get a letter from the passport office going, here's your card. I'm like, yeah, I thought so. So yeah, don't panic. Don't panic. You do what you need to do. Is there a problem? Yes. Can you do something about it? Yes. Then don't panic. Is there a problem? Yes. Can you do something about it? No. Then don't panic. So make sure you're prepared, but then let it go. Let it go. You know, and as soon as I contacted Kristen Sinema's office, I had to go, okay, it's out of my hands now. And it all turned out okay. So let it go. Let it go. I'm going to start singing Frozen. I swear to God. I'm talking to Chris about doing an album because I do sing, and I'm thinking, this would be an album for survivors. So Frozen might be on there. Okay. Where am I? Okay. As a child, I went on high alert when I heard my father's car. My father can still render me speechless. Then he pokes fun at me for this. What can I say to him? What should I do? Nothing. There's nothing you can say to him. Listen to me now. Believe me later. Abusers don't care. They don't care that they are hurting our feelings. Poking fun at somebody is passive aggressive like nobody's motherfucking business. So there's nothing you can say. Here's the deal. If your father is abusive, why are you still hanging around him? If you were not related to this person, would you, in all honesty, have anything to do with them? If the answer is no, act accordingly. It's okay. You do not have to hang around abusers. You do not. And it does not matter who they are or who the fuck they think they are. You do not have to hang around abusers. And there is nothing you can say. Now, if you get him at a time and you can say, hey, I really don't like it when you poke fun of me, and then he does it again, you know what he is. Because people who love you will go, oh my God, I didn't realize that was hurting you. I'm so sorry. And then the behavior never fucking happens again. That is a true apology. It's changed behavior. That is a true apology. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not a true apology. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. So if you're afraid of him, if he pokes fun at you, if he's abusive, why are you hanging around him? And if you were not related to him, would you have anything to do with him? If the answer is no, act accordingly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I truly dislike parents that do that. Nobody likes being made fun of. Nobody likes being made fun of. That's not okay. And parents who do that are doing it at the expense of the child. My dad used to do that kind of shit. Or they're doing it at the expense of the child to aggrandize themselves. Oh, look, I can poke that. Oh, look, I can make them cry. Oh, look, I can make them. I can make them. It is all power and control on their part. Real human beings don't need to put somebody else down in order to feel powerful. We don't, because we already know we're powerful and we don't need to harm somebody else. So, all right. Question. I'm an extrovert and I'm working through childhood abuse. Now I'm isolating and feeling like people don't like me, even when in group therapy. How can I get over the anxiety and stop reverting to teen isolationism? Ooh, this is so common. I am so glad you brought that up. So, okay. So when we have been harmed, right? And especially if it happened in our childhood, right? I don't know about you guys, but my refuge was my room. It was like, lock the door, stay in the room, stay away from the abuser, stay out of the family drama, Irma Gerd, right? So when we start working through the childhood abuse or the teenage abuse, we are also doing inner child work, because that's what we're doing, because we're working through the shit that happened when we were little kids. So isolating is going to be a part of it, because there's going to be a part of us that just wants to be like away from everybody. And we think that everybody doesn't like us, because guess what? We are reliving that teen year and that teen kind of thinking. You're going to have to get in touch with your adult you. So in the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, she talks about who is your adult. Who is your adult? What does your adult look like? Who are your role models for the adult? Who is the real adult you? And the real adult you does not need to isolate. It doesn't. The teenage you did. Abso-fucking-lutely. Oh my God. Absolutely. Totally agree. So, but the adult you does not. And people do like you. And it's funny because we do that. When we come from abuse, absolutely, we have this idea that people don't like us. Why? Because the main person who was supposed to fucking like us didn't. Assholes. Anyway, the point being is that we then think that nobody else does. And the truth of the matter is people do. They do. They just do. So it's really important to bring that up in group therapy. Bring it up. Bring it up. It's like, hey, does anybody else feel this way? Because this is what I notice I'm doing. Are you guys doing it too? Kind of thing. And this is my fear. This is what's happening. This is what group therapy is for. I love group therapy. I've always loved it. It was taught by John Nixon to me. Love John Nixon. And he taught me how to do group therapy. And I love it because it gives us the sense of community. It gives us the sense that we're not alone. That's why I love support groups. That's why whenever I go anywhere, I try to get people to exchange emails and stay in touch with each other, because y'all need to be your own support group, because y'all know what it's like to be abused. Right? So support groups are huge, and group therapy is awesome because it helps us play out what happened in our family. So what ends up happening in group therapy, hang on just a second. See, ooh, now I'm on a topic that I'm like, no, I don't get to talk about this very often. Hang on. When we're in group therapy, what ends up happening is everybody starts playing out their family dynamic. So everybody suddenly starts reverting to what they were in the family. And it's fascinating to watch as a therapist. A little terrifying on the other end, but it is therapeutic because now we get to talk about it. Because boy, howdy, when we were growing up in that crazy ass motherfucking family, we didn't get a chance to talk about it. It wasn't okay. It was verboten. You couldn't talk about it. So now you're in the group setting. Now you can talk about it. Now you can ask questions. Now you can say, does anybody else feel this? Does anybody else going through this? And really work it out. And hopefully you've got a good group leader that will make it safe, and so that everybody can share and feel free to, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened to me. Or, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling that, but I am feeling this. And get talking about. That's why group therapy is so healing and can be so amazing, especially if you get with a really good group leader and the dynamics play out the way they should. So it's really good for you. Oh my God, that's awesome. I am so proud of you. Good for you for going to group therapy. That is awesome. Don't isolate though. Don't isolate. So when the voice in your head says, nobody likes me, I'm going to go to the garden and eat big hairy worms. Thank you for your input. Shut the fuck up. Why? Because I say so. You say so. I say so. I am the boss of you. You are not the boss of me. I am liked. I am a good person. I do have friends. I'm an extrovert, and I'm going to go be an extrovert. So fuck off. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's really important you talk about it during group. Really important, because I can guarantee you, if you're feeling it, I'll bet you other people are too. So good for you. Oh my God, that's awesome. So the anxiety and stop reverting to the isolation. Get in touch with your adult you. Comfort the teen you. Comfort the teen you. The teen you needs to be comforted, but get in touch with the adult you. The adult you is more powerful and more amazing and more likable than you realize. So there it is. All right. Question. New Age thinking says, ignore and leave other victims if you wish good for yourself. Ignore and leave other victims if you wish good for yourself. That feels wrong to me. What perspective should I take when I support other victims of narcissistic parents that had similar experiences like mine? I'm not exactly sure what the heck you're talking about. If you are talking about, okay, let's clarify what that means. If you are talking about warning the newest target of the abuser, what's going to happen is you'll warn them and then they will triangulate against you. Okay. Oh, geez. So they will triangulate. I think that's going to be my last question, guys, because this is going to be kind of a long answer. So they will triangulate against you. So abusers always need a triangulation. They always need a villain. They always need somebody to fight against, because what they're doing with the new target is, don't look over here, look over here, don't look over here, look over here. So they're trying to get the target to focus in on the X as the problem, as the bad guy, as the whatever, so that the new supply doesn't figure it out that the problem is the abuser. So if you are talking about not supporting other victims or other targets of narcissistic parents who had similar experiences, I'm not sure why New Age would say that. That's really weird. So it depends on who you're listening to. And remember, communal narcissists love to pretend that they're gurus. Okay, they have all the answers and they're gurus and they're on the mountaintop and their shit doesn't stink and blah, 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 blah. Jim Jones, hello. That kind of thing. Wait, one more question. Okay. Okay, hang on. Let me finish answering this one. So I believe in supporting targets of abuse. I do, obviously. However, the caveat must be, is that, again, just like in AA, right? Okay, so the one thing I don't like about AA is that once you hit the 1 year mark, they start pushing you to become a sponsor to, up and coming addicts. And I understand that, but at the 1 year mark, you're not ready. At the 3 year mark, you will be. But at the 1 year mark, you've just learned how to swim. Okay. And I don't want you to get drugged back down. It's the same thing with supporting other targets of abuse. I need to make sure that you guys are swimming really well and have that life preserver that you can throw to somebody else without you getting drugged down too. So I can understand it if they're saying, don't get drugged down, but if they're like, oh no, you can't be around, survivors of abuse, blah, 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 new age bullshit. No. If you're swimming good and you've got a buoy and you can throw it to the person that's drowning and you can save them, great, do it. If they bite you, be done. It's kind of like you can only save the willing, guys. You can only save the willing. And that's the sucky thing. That really is. Because it's like we want everybody to get better. And we want, especially when we recognize it, especially when we go, I see you. Oh, boy, do I see you. Oh, I lived through that. Holy shit. And you want to save as many people as you possibly can. But there are some people, honest to God, here's the easy road, here's the hard road. Those motherfuckers will just take a 4-wheel drive down the hard road, break an axle, and just keep going and then end up walking in the desert. It's just, you can't save everybody. You can't save everybody. So you do it, but not at your own expense. So that's what I would say. I hope that answered the question. Okay, one last question. Does reliving your childhood with your own kids, whoa, what does that say? Does reliving your childhood with your own kids can be helpful in healing your inner child? Okay, here's the problem. Yes and no. And so you don't want to, it's not your kid's responsibility to heal you. It's your responsibility to heal you. And I always tell people this, before you have children, get your shit nailed down, because otherwise you're going to act it out with your own children. And you do not want to fucking do that. It's not their fault. It's not their problem. Now, are we going to go through memories, right, as our children grow up? Yes, when they hit developmental stages or ages that we went through when we were being abused, that's going to trigger us, okay? And we're going to go back to that time period, absolutely. But is it good to do it on purpose? No, work on your own shit. Work on your own stuff, okay? And you want to get it nailed down before they get to that period that triggers you, so that you're not knee-jerk reacting and harming the child. So yeah, is stuff going to come out as those children age? Yeah, but you need to be working on your own stuff. You abso-fucking-lutely need to be working. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. All of those are really, really good. You need to be working them. Get it nailed down. Get it nailed down so that when stuff happens that reminds you of you when you're little, you don't take it out on your kids. There it is. Okay, quickly recap. So anxiety is a thought. It's just a thought. False evidence appearing real. You must master your own thoughts. You must learn to breathe and deal with the physiological response that we have to thoughts coming in. Danger, threat, right? Danger is real. Threats are a thought. You must be your own best advocate. So instead of going down the negative, everything's going to be bad, everything's going to be awful, oh my God, this is terrible, this is awful, this is horrible, I'm going to hate this, blah, blah, blah. No, you want to frame it as something positive. So, for example, I am going to be going to Thailand. I have never been in Thailand. I have no idea how to use the toilets. So what did I do? I researched the toilets. Yes, it is a little frightening because apparently you have a hose and not toilet paper. So that's going to be interesting. So the point being is I could either sit here and go, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be terrible. Or I could be like, well, I might get soaking wet, but it's going to be an experience. There you go. Reframe, reframe. Reframe, get out of the negative thinking. That is what keeps us stuck in misery. Stop thinking everything's horrible. Then again, I might come back and tell you, oh my God, it was terrible. I was wet the whole time. But, it's a new experience. I got wet in Thailand. Wow, that sounds really bad. Anyway, the point being is that I need to stop. The point being is you want to reframe to something positive. You don't want to get, I'm blushing, Jesus Christ. You don't want to get stuck in the negative stuff. You want to find the humor. You want to find the joy. You don't want to sit there and say, everything is horrible. Everything is bad. Everything is awful. You don't want to do that. Stop doing that. Stop kicking your own ass. Trust me, there's plenty of people out there that want to do it. Don't you be one of them. All right, kids. I'm out of here. Peace out. Have a great day. And next week, we were going to talk about something else that I thought was really important. Codependency. Codependency, because there's been a whole bunch of codependency questions, like what it is, what it isn't. Is it narcissism? Is it not narcissism? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? How do we help people without killing ourselves? I want to talk about that. So, because that kind of goes along with that question that I had about the New Ager thing. So anyway, that's it. So next week is going to be about codependency. So you guys go have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.